Hello everyone, Sean Ferrick here from Trek Culture, and we are here to go through this week's episodes of Ups and Downs for Star Trek Discovery. First of all, I want to say a big massive thank you to Surfshark, who is our sponsor for this entire season of Star Trek Discovery for us. With our code for Surfshark, not only do you get 83% off your purchase, you also get 4 months free. Now, if that's not a nice bloody Christmas present for people, I don't really know what is. Okay, the entire back catalogue of every XL Enterprise from Eaglemoss would be nice too, but Surfshark allows you to watch those ships in full HD. So, thank you so much again to Surfshark for their support this year, and in fact, for all of the time that they've been supporting us, and we look forward to the rest of the season with them. Now, on to the episode itself. This episode was quite different, and I feel that this episode is going to divide people a little bit. I think, overall, this is one of the closest we've come to a Next Generation episode in Discovery so far. And funnily enough, our first up goes to the fact that it was directed by the wonderful Jonathan Frakes. Of course, the great Commander Riker returning to give us a very TNG feeling episode. The episode in a nutshell is the Discovery flies into the space left behind by the anomaly. This is a subspace rift that previous ships in Starfleet have experience of, and what they expect to find is not at all what they find. So it's a classic mystery type episode. There is a countdown clock over the events of the episode, and it's quite nicely, it's paced without the usual breakneck speed that Discovery does. I found it to be quite a different episode in that respect. So actually, my second up of the week goes to the overall pacing of the episode. It's much, much slower than what we're used to in Discovery. And I personally, I don't feel like it's suffered from that slower pace. Sometimes when we take an episode of Discovery and we take it out of its normal formula, if we like, sometimes that can work really, really well, and sometimes it can struggle a little bit with that. It took its time, everyone got something to do, and I don't feel anybody was shortchanged. Now, surely, yes, there's some characters who get more to do than others. Sure, for example, Hugh Culber actually takes a little bit of a backseat this week, as opposed to the very front and center role he's been playing for the rest of the season. We get a little bit of Stamets, we get a little bit of the bridge crew, who have been quite noticeably absent, really, from this season. Detmer, Owasakon, Reese, Bryce, Nilsson, they all get something to do. And I'm always on board for that. I'm always here to see the bridge crew being put front and center. So yes, I'm coming in hard and fast with the ups this week. That's another up from me. The fact that the bridge crew all get something to do. Technically, the big character of the week is Zora. Gone really is the hope that we're going to get a link to Calypso back into this future of Star Trek Discovery, and I have come to terms with that. I've come to peace with that. I'm okay. However, it seems like they're forging a new storyline, a new future with Zora, and one of my downs actually comes a little bit from this, but it's sort of a bit of a minor one. When the .7 is sent out into the void and it begins to hit the edge of the barrier and begins to dissolve, there's a strange moment where the sound of this is played back over the speakers, and Adira says it sounds like they're screaming. I found that to be a down because we've established that Zora is now Discovery and Discovery is Zora. Yes, we did have that scene last season where Zora was in the .7s, but are we then to understand that Zora dissolved and died out in the void, or was it an aspect of her? And if so, we didn't spend enough time dealing with that. It was just a bit of a throwaway, oh yeah, it was screaming. Well, anyway, and it was a bit out of place for me. I could arguably, I think I will add to this down, as opposed to giving another down. It's the same way that poor Ensign Cortez is just sort of red-shirted out of there. Dr. Pollard is running through the corridors and makes it just in time to see part of the hull dissolve, and poor Ensign Cortez gets sucked out into the void. Ensign Cortez is, spoiler, the only casualty of the week, and very much treated as a red shirt, and frankly, they spend more time talking about the .7 than they do Cortez. And that felt a little bit of a strange balance for me, a little bit off-putting. This is going to come across strange, especially in a Christmas hat, but it was quite a gorgeous death. The way that the .7 dissolved, as well as the exterior of Discovery, now that was, to be honest, it kind of looked like they were trying to light the ship up like a Christmas tree. Nice timing, Discovery. Nice timing. Horrific, but nice timing. So I did enjoy that element of the episode as well. We have a guest star this week of Rutherford Gray, who's playing Book's father. Now, Book keeps seeing his father in these hallucinations. First of all, Book tries to escape the ship using the mycelial network, and this is blocked. So this sort of kicks off more hallucinations. Now, we've seen him hallucinating Leto and his brother from Quajon as well. This is the first time we've been introduced to Book's father. Gray does a fantastic job in a very minimal role this week. He's really quite unlikable, but also you get a little bit of understanding between father and son. And obviously David Ajala continues to smash it out of the park this year on Discovery, but having this aspect of his relationship, that deepened it again for me. I mean, I'd always be like, Sir Discovery, stop. Can you overdevelop a character? I mean, we're getting there. We're getting there now with David Ajala's book. It's good. Seeing them together, there was a quiet anger, which is kind of seething, and you have that scathing relationship between father and son. The way that his dad speaks to him, it's anyone who has had, a tough conversation with their parents before will understand at least partly what Book is going through here. It was an unexpected, yet I feel necessary element to his character this week. I think, yes, the up going to Rutherford Gray for his performance as Book's father, and also, of course, just for this aspect overall this week. There is a lot of discussion of how exactly they're going to get out of the void, and while this it's quite interesting in terms of the episode, and we get lots of Ian Alexander's Grey this week, which is really good, it's neither up nor down. I feel it's just quite a straightforward part of the story itself. We get a brilliant reference to earlier Trek, which I will get to in Cetacean Observations, which leaves Burnham as the only person left on the ship for a short amount of time. We get a lot of development of Burnham and Zora's relationship, because Zora has become very much a character this season, and I'm delighted for this. I'm absolutely delighted. I've said many times, I'll say it again, you give me Annabelle Wallis, I will give you a smile. She gets so much to do this week. It did initially come across as slightly strange that Gray was talking Zora through quietening her process so that she could focus on the task at hand. But I suppose that's the risk. When you have a sentient computer, you do run this little bit of a risk. So I really, really like this. And we get this developed over the episode to the point where we have Burnham sitting in the captain's chair in an EV suit while Zora is attempting to follow sonar out of the void. The up from me for this scene is Zora singing Stormy Weather to calm Burnham down. Burnham, who has tried to calm Zora down this whole time, where we get our title of the episode, Stormy Weather, from. And again, Annabelle Wallis sings, I smile. But it's definitely an up, because it was quite an unexpected, quite a strange moment to have Zora, Discovery, singing to Burnham. Burnham passes out thanks to the sparkly things falling from the ceiling, and of course just the environmental stresses that she's put under as they escape the void. And we get a standard pass out into black, wake up, everyone's fine and great. Very, very Discovery, very, very Star Trek. But overall, really liked it. Really liked that whole aspect of that character. The episode somewhat closes on a discussion between Saru and Book. We get a lovely shot again of Archer Station as Discovery is being repaired from its trip into the void. We get this discussion of, existing with rage and anger inside you. Saru is able to give Book a little bit of perspective when he talks about how he has to sit across from the Baul every week, or however often it is, on the Council of Kaminar. The Baul who culled his people for hundreds of years, including his own parents. And he's able to say to Book, we don't ignore our rage, and we are justified in our anger, but if we don't move on, we stagnate. And in a way, that is Book's journey so far, just another element of it. That conversation for me, that was enough. One of the biggest reveals of the episode was that the particles that flushed through Book's system while he tried to jump the ship out of the void came from the Great Barrier, which of course we have seen in Star Trek before, but it indicates that the anomaly itself came from outside the Milky Way galaxy. So this is our biggest clue so far as to where the DMA came from, which is an extragalactic thing. And with that, come and join me at Cetacean Observations. I have the pad. I have the power. Cetacean Observations this week, we have a couple of name drops very early in the episode because they're talking about the subspace rift that's been left by the DMA. And two ships are name dropped as having dealt with subspace rifts before: Enterprise and Voyager. I don't think I need to explain what those ships are, but if you take more specific references, Subspace Rift, you have Voyager in The Void, but also you have the Enterprise D in the episode Force of Nature. They enter the Hikaris corridor, which of course kickstarts the entire storyline of how, you have to have a limit on warp speed in this sector, which is mentioned like once before and then never again. Great crack. But that was one of the times that the Enterprise encountered a subspace rift. One of the most fun Easter eggs in this episode was that the entire crew have to hide in the pattern buffer so that they can escape the void safely. And Zora says, there is a historical reference to long-term pattern buffer being safe. Relics, anybody? And a certain Mr. Scott coming out of the pattern buffer after 75 years. Love it. But also, much shorter period of time, but counterpoint in Voyager as well. All of the telepathic people were hidden in the pattern buffer with the transport enhancers, which is another example of this. Then of course, the last big Easter egg of the episode is the Great Barrier itself. This is going all the way back to the second pilot of Star Trek, Where No Man Has Gone Before. This is the barrier that encircles the Milky Way galaxy. It's a very nice throwback to one of Star Trek's earliest episodes. Now that's it for everything on this episode this week. This is, as I said right at the beginning, I feel that this episode is it's going to divide people a little bit because it's a step outside of Discovery's usual MO. So let us know what you thought in the comments below. And don't forget that you can get us over on Twitter at Trek Culture. You can get myself at Sean Ferrick on the usual socials as well. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You can do it as a Christmas present to your old pal Shawnee, and your old pal Chris, and your old pals at Trek Culture in general. No, really though, you have really helped this channel grow so much over the last year, and we are so grateful. So folks, however you choose to spend the next week, whether you are celebrating Christmas, whether you are not celebrating Christmas, that is entirely up to you. Just make sure that you enjoy the next week, whatever you do. You look after yourselves. We will see you next week. Look after your friends and family. You live long and prosper. Thank you very much.